What's going on, guys? King Draken here, and before I begin, I just want to congratulate everyone in the Drekonians faction who participated in yesterday's attempt at the faction solo domination. Now, we didn't win, but we did pretty damn good, especially for an event that wasn't planned at all. Regardless, I'm thrilled, not only because my faction did well, but because Legion completely dominated the leaderboard. And many players turned traitors after the Inferno War, but this is a reminder to them that Legion is still alive and well. Now, here you're seeing the legendary Enhancer achievement that I got worth 5,000 rating points. And in addition to that, and the Delta Knight achievement worth 2,500 points, I was able to get the Blue Star with 94,854 points. So I'm super excited about that. And throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you guys clips of my battles and retraining from the very beginning of Omega to the point where I won the daily solo and my faction came in second place. So I'll be showing you guys clips from those and explaining certain things as I go along. For the most part, as a tactical mercenary, I lost almost every battle. So I was frustrated because that was my first class when I started off in Omega. And as you guys know, before Omega even started, I wasted 100,000 credits switching classes twice. And on top of that, I switched classes 2 other times with Varium, and then when Omega came, I ended up switching classes at least 3 times. So that's a shitload of wasted Varium and credits. But you live and you learn. So right now I'm settled on Mercenary until they nerf it, which they announced that they're going to be doing some balance adjustments soon. So not sure if they're going to nerf it or just fix whatever is wrong with the game. But a lot of people have been complaining with strength mercenaries. And I don't blame them really, because I was demolishing people yesterday. But here I'm switching classes to Bounty Hunter after losing to that bounty. I was frustrated. I decided, man, fuck it. So here I completed my build, and I'm going to test it out right now. As you can see, I'm running with the Azrael claws, hoping to use that extra 5% critical strike on cheap shot, but that didn't turn out so well. Not only was I playing like I was in Delta, but a lot of other people were playing as if they were in Delta as well, and one thing I've realized about this new phase is that your previous builds, the way you use them, will fail every time in this new phase, so it's best to learn from your mistakes, learn from every loss, and you'll see that as I'm battling, almost every single time I lose, I do some tweaking to my build. Sometimes I'd wait for about 3 losses in a row and then tweak it some more. And eventually I decide whether or not to stick with the class or move to another class. So yeah, for now I'm using the Bounty Hunter, and it's not working out so well. Like the EMP, as you saw there, it comes in handy when facing off with certain classes. But the build I'm using right now is just not very good with such low health, and that's one thing that I don't like with Omega so far, is that either you have to get low health and high defenses or get low defenses and high health. That's one of the drawbacks with the new system. Hopefully they return the health thing back to the way it was. You'd put in 1 point and it increases by 2 points. So hopefully they do that so we can have a decent amount of health when we're, playing. So, but for the most part, battles right now end super quickly, especially for mercenaries, man. Most of my battles end in 2 or 3 turns, and that's it. But yeah, as you can see here, I get one of my few wins as a bounty hunter with this build anyway. I ended up using another build later on. Oh, this guy, I battled him quite a few times. Won some, lost some, but it was all good for the most part. But yeah, I did end up using this one particular build for Bounty Hunter that I thought was freaking overpowered, man. One guy, the way I set it up, first of all, the way I set it up is that I would be able to get at least 2 stuns in a game, you know, or a maximum of 3 stuns, before I demolish the guy. So that was pretty intense. So I did face off with one guy where I stunned him with my auxiliary, and then I stunned him with the stun grenade. And fortunately for him, I did not have my stun gun at the time, so he got off lucky, but I could have stunned him 3 times in a row if I was lucky enough. But I thought that was pretty damn awesome, man. It's very rare that you would see 3 stuns in a row in Omega. I'm not even sure if it's been done before. I doubt it anyway. But perhaps it's been done in 2v2. Maybe a mage might stun somebody with overload, and then a mercenary might stun, the person with something else, with maul or something. But I'm not really sure how they would stun him again. But anyways, well, a stun gun if they had it. So that would have been sweet to see, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't been done yet in EpicDuel, and I was hoping to get that, but it didn't work out so well when I finally started using my stun gun. But for now, I'm still using the tank build. First, I started off with a strength build for Bounty Hunter, then I switched to a tank, and neither was working out. So here I'm, switching over my robot to Azrael or Assault, so I can, reduce their debuffs. But still, it didn't work out, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been having that problem. And it's just one of the things that bounties are weak at. Or maybe it's because, the Omega just came out and everybody was just, well, most people were confused about it, and including me, so I had to learn as I go. And we just weren't prepared yet, and didn't have the right build at the time. So that's probably why it seemed hard, or harder than it really is. I gotta be honest with you, my very first impressions of Omega was not very good. At first, I thought it was terrible, primarily because I was losing so much. But then as you start to learn how to counteract certain things, you start to learn what are the best moves to make, then you kind of get a better sense of appreciation for the work that the staff put into this game. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that until I switched classes several times. It wasn't until I finally became a mage, as you'll see later on in this video, that I ended up really starting to like the Omega phase, because a lot of the battles that I played ended up in wins. And there you saw us just stun that guy with a stun gun, and he was not so happy about that. But I ended up winning easily, and which was pretty cool, Very rarely do you stun with a stun gun, but I've been noticing in Omega, it does stun more often than it usually did back in Delta and Gamma. I'm not sure why, but it does that. And there are also some bugs that I've been noticing, especially with the Chairman's armor. So as you guys know, the Chairman's Fury core is supposed to steal 25% of the enemy's rage. However, throughout Omega, after I changed over to Mercenary, I believe it was Mercenary, but after I changed classes a few times, then I realized that there's a bug. It's stealing 75% rage instead of 25% rage. So ended up reporting that to the staff on the forum, and they're looking into it. Last time I checked, they said it was pending, so I guess they're still looking into it if they haven't found a solution yet. But yeah, man, aside from, minor bugs like that, the game is pretty darn good. Like I said before, I was a little disappointed in the beginning. You come to understand and love the game for what it really is, But mercenaries are still overpowered. almost all strength builds are overpowered now, and that's primarily because the defenses are so low and the health is so low. And if you go second, then the chances of you being able to counter your opponent's attacks is very slim. So here I switched over to Tech Mage, and the first thing I did was try a strength build, which didn't work out so well. I did end up getting a few wins, but the majority of them were losses. Majority of my battles were losses, and I just didn't like it. So I tried out some other builds in Tech Mage, and eventually stumbled across this one build that back in Delta I was planning on doing, but I totally forgot about it until I ended up using it. And that is the support technology build with a decent amount of strength. And I wouldn't say it's overpowered, because you do lose a lot to certain classes or certain builds from certain classes. But for the most part, you win almost every battle if you go first. And even if you don't go first, you have a good chance of making a comeback. So yeah, it was pretty darn good, man. I don't recommend using the bio battle gear as a tech mage. It may be good for cyber hunters and mercenaries with strength builds, but for tech mages, it didn't work out so well. And that's another thing with tech mages, you're better off going with a support tech build or just a plain old tech spamming build. But strength builds just don't work out so well for mages. Reason is because as a mage, if you go with strength, if you put your stats on strength, you either have to limit your defenses if you want to get high health, or get low health and improve your defenses somewhat, and you'll still lose very quickly. But the drawback with a strength mage is that once someone use intimidate on your character, you're pretty much screwed, as you saw there, because there's no way to counteract it. And if you use your turn to, undo that debuff with the assault bot, then you're gonna lose, obviously, because the health is so low. Even if you have 130 health, by the time you counter that and he attacks, you're gonna have very little health left, and for mages, you have to malfunction first and then start using your sidearms and whatever. So you'll waste a turn using malfunction and then the debuff, using the assault bot to undo the debuff, and then you'll pretty much be in a vulnerable position. So you can take that with a grain of salt. If it works for you, fine, but I'm just letting you guys know that it is not a good idea to be a strength tech mage, not in Omega right now, until they fix it and it becomes something worth pursuing. Then I recommend doing it. One thing that I did value from being a strength tech mage is being able to use assimilate against strength mercenaries, because a lot of them, they only use enough energy to perform Maul and Berserker, or Double Strike and Berserker. So using Assimilate, you'll be able to reduce their energy and do damage as well. So that comes in very handy when you're battling them. Now, as you can see, I'm being defeated a lot as a strength tech mage, and then I decided to switch over to that tech support build. And it worked out tremendously, as I mentioned before. As you'll see right now, it worked out very good. And using the Azure Curse primary, you're able to get a lot more critical strikes. As you can see, I started off this battle without using my Azure Borg robot, so I wasn't able to counter his shield. But usually you'd want to use that robot to reduce their shield, and then you can go in for the attack. But in this battle, I forgot it, so I'll fix that in the next one and then get back to it. You will want to use the core setup that I have here. Typically, you don't want to play defense. As a support tech mage, I should say support tech tech mage, you generally don't want to play defense. You know, you want to keep it on offense all the time because you don't have that much defense to go with anyway. You know, so why bother trying to undo your opponent's debuff, you know, when you can just go all out and, you know, hope for the best. Because if you waste your turn on doing that, they're just gonna hit you with a powerful attack next turn. So that's just my advice to you guys if you decide to use this build. And one thing I did notice is that after I started using it and, you know, literally dominating the leaderboard, I noticed a lot of people started using it as well, especially after I switched over to Mercenary later on. A lot of people were using that build, and I didn't really mind at first, but then there were some guys that took the build and improved it and then started beating me with it, you know, so I was getting kind of frustrated with that. And you know, but it's all good, you know, people, this is how EpicDuel works. You know, you battle, you test builds, but if you can't test builds or you don't want to waste your credits testing builds, it's best to take somebody else's build that's already working and try to improve it, you know, or just copy their build and, you know, go about your business. But that's the nature of EpicDuel, and until they can make our build page private, then we won't be able to have any control over that, you know, because once you start winning a lot with a certain build, somebody is going to take a screenshot of it and try to figure out what you're doing, what kind of core you have based on the moves you do, and they will copy it, you know, and once they copy it, you know, it's just going to spread like a virus and there's nothing you can do to stop it. So anyway, right now I switched over to Mercenary, spamming a strength build, and before I did this, before I started spamming a strength build, I tried out some other different builds with mercenaries that didn't work out so well. First went with a support spamming build where I put all my points on support and nothing else. I first saw this one guy did it early on in the day. I saw his build, and after that, a lot of people started to do it, and it's a good build, but it relies almost entirely on getting critical strikes, you know, especially against players with high health. You know, if they have low health, like say 90 or lower, then you'll be able to win with that support build. But if they have high health like 120, 130, then you're in deep trouble because you're going to have to be relying on critical strikes. And it's best to have Infernal Interdictor if you're going to use that build anyway, because the critical strikes are going to be insane. But yeah, for the most part, it didn't work out so well for me. I did get a few wins, but it's just too flawed. So I ended up going, after that, I ended up going with a tank build that did not work out either. I'm pretty sure I didn't win a single battle with that. But later on, I decided, you know what? I'm on the leaderboard. I want to go ahead and keep this position, and my faction's on the leaderboard. I want to go ahead and keep that and get better. So I might as well spam a strength build and get wins super fast. So that's what I ended up doing, and as you can see, most of my battles end in 2 or 3 turns. There are a few times when, you know, I play against tactical mercenaries where they run a heal loop and, you know, all sorts of different combinations that cause the battle to drag on for about 7 or 8 turns. But usually I end up with a win if I get first strike, and no blocks. But if you do get blocked in this phase, then you're likely to be screwed unless you're a tech mage using a support tech build. Then you don't have to worry about getting blocked too many times. This is just going to be a few more battles with my mercenary build. I tried to speed this particular clip up, but something was going haywire in the software, in the editing software, and I wasn't able to speed it up. So you guys are just gonna have to watch it at normal speed. and hopefully you enjoy it, you know. Um, but yeah, that's about all I can say for EpicDuel right now, man. It's okay, you know. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a 7 or 8. There are some things they need to fix immediately. However, I did have a lot of fun yesterday playing with the mercenary class and the tech mage class, you know, and my faction did extremely well. I couldn't be prouder of those guys, especially the ones that, you know, were online for so long, you know, doing their thing. And it's just amazing how, you know, we could come from being inactive for so long, you know, to being number 2 on the 1v1 leaderboard with over 1,600 wins. I'm really proud of my faction, and hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to be online all together, and so we can dominate not only that leaderboard but other leaderboards as well. So looking forward to the future and the tournament coming up. Yesterday was just a practice run for me, and I'm fairly confident that I'll be able to do pretty well in the tournament. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy Omega, and I'm gonna end this video here. And with that said, guys, thank you for watching, and I appreciate you guys supporting not only this channel but my blog and my Facebook page as well. So thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. And this is King Draken signing off.